Chrissy and Roger to work their facility. What do you people do?
We provide financing.
Well, I thought they just said there was no money there.
No, the $20,000 that we got for the grant was for our to help with our administration costs. Because there are also a lot of things that we do that working with the community that doesn't generate income for our organization. But what we do as part of our organization, like the Mount Washington Valley Economic Council, we have loan funds that we lend to businesses.
Rotating.
Yes, the revolving loan funds. We have revolving loan funds. We have intermediary relending programs from the USDA, and these are monies that we use to lend to businesses. We're not here to compete with banks. We're here either to work with, sometimes we're at the table at a closing with a bank and providing the gap financing needed. So it just depends on the organization, on the business and what their needs are. So those are just some of the names of some of the businesses that have received some assistance. Sometimes it could be just loan packaging. Somebody needs help with business plans or to get ready to go and meet with a bank, so we provide technical assistance as well.
Now, is Pembroke Animal Hospital, is that the name of the veterinarian, or is that Pembroke, New Hampshire?
I'm assuming that's probably a veterinarian in Pembroke, New Hampshire. That was not one of the businesses we worked with, so I couldn't tell you exactly whether it's in Pembroke or
I was under the assumption that this was a list of jobs created in Carroll County.
That's right. And
not all Carroll County. They're all, the whole state. Carroll County is some of them. Carroll County is over beside the Wedco.
Right.
And Mount Washington.
Oh, okay.
See? Yeah. There are 10 organizations, so that's the cumulative report from all of the organizations.
Whatever you call it.
Wedco?
Yeah, is the Carroll County.
And Mount Washington Valley Economic Council is as well. Actually, our organization, WEDCO, also covers 4 communities in Stratford County as well.
You've got at least 3 restaurants. Now, how did we help those?
Most of these are
Mount Washington Valley, I'm talking about.
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not. Okay. You'd have to ask Jack.
You got Inn at Thornhill. You got May Kelly's.
Yeah.
White Mountain Hotel.
Yeah, I can't answer for them whether they provided financing or whether they provided technical. I'm not sure. I can just respond to my own. Our own.
Yes.
I don't know if you asked or not, but would the cooperative extension fall under the allowable uses?
I don't think so. It's a government agency.
University.
University. I don't know. I'd have to run that one by. When I get a list of potentials, I'll run it by the actual funder.
There is a person in cooperative extension, 1 out of 5, that does work, is required to work with low income through schools or through nutrition and so forth.
So it may be possible, but we run into a little problem when we go after those funds. It's a competitive round. So we have to score enough points to get funded. And if it's a daycare and we have 60 children, that's a nice score because we're providing benefit to a lot. So we have to watch if we're doing an agency that's benefiting not very many people, then our chance of actually getting funded is lower. It's just competitive. You have to be serving the most low and moderate income people generally to get the funds and have matching funds. But we'll run by the list, whatever's presented to us as possibles, and we'll run it by the actual CDFA and see what they have to say. I don't believe ever it's been done before. I've been working with community development block grants for 30 years, and I've never heard of them doing that.
Do you cover the whole state?
Yes.
Okay. Are there others like you?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Question?
A couple other factors I wanted to introduce about the daycare idea. Title 20, a lot of our employees, they're not rich. They probably would qualify for Title 20 assistance with the daycare. So that would be federal dollars coming in. Also, we do offer our employees the flexible spending accounts that does cover dependent care. So that's something that could also be considered as income. You know, we're paying them, but they're putting the money aside, but it would come back to the county as well.
Okay. This is flying way over my head. Is there anybody here that would like to look into this further for the county? I would be open to anybody that could help put
Is
a
it-
package together
is there a
or
reuse
come up
committee?
with some ideas as to, apparently there may be some funds available if we do the things the right way and we have the qualifications necessary. If there's anybody that would like to look into this further, I'd be happy to welcome them and work with them. Seeing none?
Well,
One?
I think a reuse committee would be great, reuse of the building, to just look into a few different things, and I would work with them as well, and we could.
We got a committee to look at that building and rehab it. It's made up of 5 or 6 delegation members, plus there's a few others as well.
Because I had spoken to someone before, it was quite a while ago, and she said she would get back to me when things progressed a little further and they had a better idea of what was going to be a potential.
Okay. Okay.
occupant.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be advantageous as we move along with what we do with the old nursing home to have this group tell us what would be eligible for grant money, rather than every time someone gets an idea, call Donna, and Donna has to wait till she gets a list to go find out?
But I would assume that Donna would like to know what the possible uses are so that she can talk to that.
Well, in general, it has to be a service for low and moderate income people, primarily. So, and there are some high priority, we can send that, if we had the committee, we could give them a list of high priority and low priority activities. Like the community center used to be a high priority, now it's a low priority. When I say low priority, it starts with a less score going in, which means in general, low priority won't get funded. So a community center, we used to do senior centers, we used to do community centers, those are no longer high priority. The daycares are always a good high priority, and we're talking child daycare and adult daycare for, you know, Alzheimer's, for disabled folks, whatever it needs to be. So there are some of those, and then some of those, you know, obviously a CAP agency, Community Action Program, that are servicing low and moderate income folks primarily, those are always eligible. So I think if we keep that in mind, that it has to be serving low and moderate income folks, so we can run by any ideas. And again, the next application deadline is January, which actually would coincide pretty well.
Yeah.
And
Do you
we-
know of any other counties that have daycare that it may have received some of these money?
Milton, the town of Milton did.
Town
I
of
worked
Milton.
with them to get community development block grant funds for their child care facility in their industrial park.
Mhm.
And CAP's running that.
Mhm.
Age, you know,
Stratford Community Action
we
Program.
paid to build the building, a portion of the price of building the building, but it's run by somebody else. It's
You
not.
built, you paid
Some
to-
block grant monies went to that.
to build the building.
Mhm.
So supposedly, we could get some money to rehab our present
Right.
building.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Okay.
We are talking about it we're putting an application in Franklin right now. They have they have a school that just emptied out. And so they want to reuse the school. And we're going to put an application in 2 weeks to do daycare and stuff like that in that building.
I believe the Wolfboro Children's Center, when it started many years ago, because it's been around for
Yes.
over 15 years or 20 years, they initially got some
Well, we
community
did the
development
back
block
wing.
grant. Yeah,
On
for the
that.
back wing.
In community development block grants, do you feel that the county may be affecting private enterprise if we went into this daycare setup?
Well, I wouldn't recommend the county operate the daycare. I would recommend.
It'd be our building, they have to pay rent. They can run it.
Well, you know, you could rent it for a reasonable amount. Obviously, daycare is not a money-making proposition.
Mhm.
So it has to be low rent in order for them to actually, you know, be able to operate the
Yeah.
facility. I think if you're providing a place at a nice rent that they can actually afford, I think it's a good partnership.
Yeah.
And I think with all those employees you have around here, you know, it's ideal.
All of those employees?
Well, don't you have a lot at the?
We have several, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
a few anyway.
Yeah. We have a couple hundred. Go ahead, Mr.
Going to Mr. Babson's comment about a list of things that qualify, I'm not certain that you need to have every operation, every business, or every function of the building qualifying for the grant money, so much as having keystone, if you will, somebody to lead it. If you were, for instance, provide a daycare center space that you're renting out, that's going to attract tenants for other spaces that might not qualify completely or be lower scored, like a doctor's office, like a dentist's office, like mental health, or whatever other service that might feel like they want to be in that location. But it makes it more attractive to be there because you are providing a space for a daycare center to operate, or I don't know how, I haven't seen a lot of activity on the adult daycare area, but I mean, what I'm saying is it could be part of the program of rehabbing the building, not necessarily funding the whole thing.
Oh, no, it wouldn't, because it requires a match anyway.
Sandy, you want to make a comment on adult daycare that we has brought up and talked about a little bit, I guess, at the nursing home?
I believe there has been a lot of discussion in regard to both the daycare for children as well as for adult. I know Huggins Hospital has an adult day program, and it, again, it is not a moneymaker, and I think, and I don't know how that would be worked out. There is a need in the community. I think sometimes the need is when residents or families of loved ones, care providers finally decide that it's time for the adult day program, it's almost too late. So I think there's a lot of education that needs to happen within the community and the county as a whole. But again, there is a need out there because for those families that are trying to keep the adult day program of the elder in the home, they want to be also working. And again, so it's during those working hours that would be of assistance to those families. And sometimes all it takes is 3 days a week. It doesn't have to be 5 days a week. Yet I do believe for federal for state funding, and again, this was some years ago when I was involved in it, it had to be more than a day a week or 2 days a week. So there is a lot to look at.
Okay. Any further public input or questions regarding Community Development Block Grant? Anything else you want to report?
We can get.
Okay. Go ahead, Ed.
Just my basic question is, where do the funds actually come from? Who
HUD.
Housing and Urban Development.
So is that federal?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We
And
could.
it's matched funds, you said, correct?
Is it matching?
Yes, we have that.
It's not required to be matched, but in order to score well enough to get funded, you usually have to match dollar for dollar, or it's just competitive, obviously. People are going after this money. So usually if you're going in and the building could be part of the match, that portion of the building, the reduced rent, there's different ways we could, make the match work.
Okay.
But it might require a bit of a loan that this organization could get to match it.
Well, as was mentioned earlier by Mr. Alvey, we have, that may not qualify though. We have Co-op Extension that are paying rent in Conway, and if they, and I think they will, move down here, we can get a $500,000 grant for the amount of rent that they're paying in Conway Village. Could that be used as a matching?
If it has to be used as rent, I don't know, but if it's an upfront rent, perhaps we have to.
Well, it could be county. Yes.
I don't think Donna understands, if I understand you properly. What he's saying is, we have the equivalent of $500,000 in rent that we won't be paying up there, that we could apply and get matching funds for in the program.
Well, if you're not going to be paying rent up there and then you have the money to put into some rehab, that would be great.
That's what we're talking about.
Yep.
again, we have to check and make sure that they